I'll call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Town of Sunset Beach for March 5, 2018. I'd like an amendment to the draft agenda which provides, my amendment would be that we go through a draft agenda review and approval now before we go into a proposed closed session. Anybody have a problem with that? Anybody have additions or corrections to the agenda? I have.
I have a few things, Mr. Mayor, but you go first. No, that's
One
all right.
is there's a budget transfer. That would be, I propose that go with the report of the finance director. We have to add that to the budget. To the agenda. We have, there's a proposed budget amendment, and I'd like to move it to the report of the finance director, add it to the agenda. You had things that you wanted to add to the agenda?
Just a couple of things. One is a matter of, I believe the scoping meeting is March 20th.
Well, Councilman Corbett raised an issue with his review of the minutes about it, so we could discuss it when we review the minutes, because
Okay.
his recollection was a little bit different. But
All
we can
right.
address it then.
All right, that's fine. And I would like to add stormwater management under old business, item 6. This is in regards to a discussion that
Okay.
I had with Representative Eiler.
Okay.
And we need council approval before moving forward.
Under old business, okay.
And the only other matter that I had, Mr. Mayor, and it's, we've asked that the council receive the agenda before it's made public, and that is still not occurring, so I hope that will be corrected.
Well, I went over that. I've gone over it at 2 different meetings, and I've explained that the rules provide that the agenda is set at the conclusion of the prior meeting, which was done. That was the agenda. Now, there's things that can be added to it since then, but that's what the rules provide.
No, I understand that, but my concern is sometimes we don't know what other items are on the agenda.
Well, you're never going to know for sure, because it could be added at 5 minutes till 6. I mean, you added things, and I added things.
It's just a simple request for the council to review the agenda before it's made public. It doesn't alleviate the fact that we can still have agenda items added or
No, I understand that, but
deleted.
the thing that I'm trying to prevent is the exchange between council members as to what, in a non-public forum, as to what the agenda consists of. That's the reason why you set the agenda at the conclusion of the prior meeting, because it's a public meeting. If you get an agenda and you say you don't want this on the agenda, that then becomes engaging in the conduct of business outside of a public forum. And that, in my opinion, would violate the Open Public Meetings Act if you start to circulate it to other council members. I don't want to get engaged in a discussion like that. That's why the rules provide that the agenda is set, and the only thing that can be done is things be added to it if an individual wants to add stuff to it. So the agenda is the agenda that's set the meeting before.
Bob, we've been told of the changes a day before the meeting, at least the changes? Since we'll know the agenda going in, can we at least know the changes by email? If there's anything been added or changed?
Sometimes we don't know what the other
Well,
events.
My sole purpose is to avoid, which happens all too frequently, exchange and discussion between council members outside of the public forum. And if it's an email of a copy of the proposed, I just think that you're causing a whole lot of problems. But
I have a
Charlie.
Is
question.
YouTube on now?
It-
Are we being videoed now? It is on working? Okay, just because we are
Charlie?
pretty much doing a meeting.
Yeah, well, I don't understand. What is the point, Rich?
We don't see the complete agenda until it's given to the public. And sometimes there's items on there that we just are not aware of until we find out what the agenda is when the public finds out. And I would like to just to know, as a matter of courtesy, what the complete agenda is before it's made known to the public. In case the council wants to change anything or add anything or what have you.
That's
We
the-
just
that's-
did that, though.
That's the problem, is the change. Because you can't change it by yourself.
No, I understand.
And it's going to
that.
require the participation of council to change it, except for the addition of something. Because anybody can request that something be added to the agenda before it's actually finalized, adopted for the meeting.
All right, well, I'll let the council decide.
All right,
Bob, I have one thing I'll change on K4 on cabanas, restricting the retail use of people installing cabanas on the beach.
K4 is, no, I don't think you can mean K4. K3, no,
K4.
you're right, K4. It was what?
Restricting retail operations.
I didn't get that.
Restricting retail. It really should read restricting retail operations.
Mr. Mayor, I think that's already on the agenda.
Yeah, but it doesn't say
It
that.
doesn't say that, Rich.
It says
The
police
ag-
presence and
agenda item
trash.
is only
The
talking
agenda's
about
on there.
restricting retail, and if we do permits or whatever that happens. to be.
Okay,
Yeah, so the subject really is restricting the retail.
so that's item number,
K4.
okay.
All right, on the agenda is a closed session. I have been suggested by the attorney to read proposed language for the closed session, and I want you to listen carefully and see if somebody's going to make the motion to do this. Pursuant to 143-318-11A3, to consult with the town attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the council, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. Pursuant to 143-318.11A6, to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or present employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee. General personal policy issues may not be considered in a closed session. A public body may not consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, appointment, or removal of a member of the public body or another body, and may not consider or fill a vacancy among its own membership except in an open meeting. The final action making an appointment or discharge or removal by a public body having final authority for the appointment or discharge or removal shall be taken in an open meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
Mr. Mayor, I thought Councilman Benton requested that the personnel matter be discussed at the end of the meeting.
When did he do that?
By email to Lisa.
Well, it's on the, it's for the it's on the schedule, the agenda for the 8 p.m. closed meeting.
Lisa, did I not send you an email requesting the personnel matter be at the end of the meeting?
At the end of the closed session.
No.
Second item under closed session.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to move it to the end of the meeting.
Second.
What are you proposing to move?
Personnel.
We have to be very careful here. I am concerned with personnel, information about any employees of the town which would otherwise remain confidential and not subject to a public records request, being circumvented or run around by being disclosed out in open session. My understanding was that we were going to have a closed session concerning my advice as to employment personnel issues that the town council was dealing with, at which point I would give my advice on that. So as to when we come out of closed session, where it goes on the agenda, I don't really care as far as what goes on in the closed session. I think before it gets to before the matter is discussed out in open session, I think we need to have a closed session with respect to my advice on it.
We can have a closed session, but I would like the second half to be removed, to move to the end of the council meeting.
The second half of
The second half, our discussion on personnel matters. You can talk all you want about it, but I'd like to have a discussion with the council after.
In executive session.
Right.
In,
An open session or a closed?
Executive session.
What's an executive session?
He means
Closed session.
Closed
Closed
session.
session,
Closed session.
okay. That's, then say closed.
You're wanting to have 2 closed sessions?
Yes, that's what it comes down to.
And you want Grady to stick around until the
No.
end of this meeting?
No, just the
Why?
beginning.
No, he's gonna be for the second portion of the closed
No, he's
session.
not.
Yes,
No,
he
he
is.
Well, that's his choice.
No, it's not his choice. It's
No.
gonna,
Oh, I serve at the pleasure of council. I'll stay as long as I need to, but I'm just concerned about the need for 2 closed sessions when there's notice of 1 at the beginning of the meeting.
that concerns me also, and if we're going to have a second closed session, I want Grady there.
Do we vote on that, Bob?
Yes.
Since he serves on the pleasure of the council, we need to vote on it.
I have another issue in that the second part of what's requested to be put at the end of the meeting is qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of employment of an employee. What I understand, although I have not been apprised by either Mayor Pro Tem Benton, Councilman Serrato, or Councilman Harris, what the intention of the motion is, or the closed session is, nor do I believe have Councilman Corbett or Councilman Nern been apprised. But I have every reason to believe that the other 3 council people are fully aware of what is intended to be discussed. And there's no question in my mind, in my discussions with Mr. Bennett, with Mayor Pro Tem Bennett, that it does not involve qualification, competence, performance, character, fitness, or conditions of employment.
Bob, you just said you didn't have any knowledge of why the meeting's being held. Now you do know or don't know?
You told me.
Right, so you
Well,
do
no,
know.
you told me for
Mr.
the one
Mayor,
that you were, excuse me, I'm talking. You told me 2 weeks ago that what it's for.
I did.
And it does not involve qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, or conditions, does it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and the personnel policy has been complied with.
Bob, we have a meeting, a closed session meeting. We'll have it there, not here.
No.
We'll come out and discuss it with the public, but I don't know what you're trying to do
We
here.
have to take our action in public.
No, it's
We
not.
understand that.
Well,
This
How
is-
come everybody else knows what's going on and some of us haven't been informed?
they haven't been informed.
I'm still at a loss to understand the need for 2 closed sessions when it can be, if the final action, whatever we're talking about, is going to be taken in open session, I'm at a loss to understand the need for 2 closed sessions.
Yeah, I will go in and say, we'll have 1 closed session meeting. All the things will be voted on the first meeting. We don't need a second one. If you want to do it that way, we'll do it that way.
Mr. Mayor, I don't understand something. I think we're splitting hairs and making something simple very complicated. Traditionally, we've had personnel issues discussed in executive session, closed session, and after which, any time an action or has been taken or not taken, but the public has been informed.
No,
Now,
the
why
act
is there such a difference?
Because the requirements of the statute are very, very specific. What it says is, it is the policy of this state that closed sessions shall be held only when required to permit a public body to act in the public interest as permitted in this section. A public body may hold a closed session and exclude the public only when a closed session is required. And under paragraph 6, it says exactly what I just stated. To consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, and conditions of employment, or conditions of additional employment. What I just read is specifically of the motion, what Grady wanted me to read for the motion, is specifically out of the statute. And what I'm saying is that if it is not qualifications, if it is not competence, if it is not performance, if it is not character, if it is not fitness, and if it is not conditions of employment, it doesn't comply with the requirements for a closed session.
Mr. Mayor, the sentence you are reading says, "A public body may not consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, appointment, or removal of a member of the public body or another body, and may not consider to fill a vacancy among its own membership, except in an open meeting."
I understand that, but whatever discussion you're going to have, I'm saying, is unless it involves those items that I just identified, and I don't need to read them
How do you
again.
know it's not going to identify those items? I mean, you're assuming it's not.
Mr. Mayor?
If you have, I don't know what you're going to be able to do, because there's very specific requirements in the public personnel policy that have to be complied with, that I know have not been complied with.
So, let's find out.
Mr. Mayor, I'm like Mr. Serrato, I don't understand. It seems to me like it's a veiled or not so veiled attempt to hide what we're doing from the public.
It is an attempt to follow the law.
Why would we have a second closed session?
I just said we don't need to have a second closed session, Charlie, let's have one. Let's do the whole thing on the first go-around, all right? So this discussion can stop.
Well, you're the one who started the discussion.
Well, I tried to have it in the back session, John, you'll see why. But now you don't want to do it? You want to do it in the front?
I would
front
like to
one?
know what's going on.
Well, closed session, you'll find out.
I wanted to add something to the motion that doesn't have anything to do with personnel, and that is with regard to discussion of litigation involving the Sunset Beach West. Has nothing to do with personnel,
No, yeah.
but it needs to be
Frank
part of this
Holden,
motion.
talked about that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
it needs to be part of this motion. All right, that's the motion. I've said what I needed to say. Hey, so somebody gonna make the motion?
I make a motion to go into closed session.
Second?
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.